Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Smackdown tonight was from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, while Rampage was taped from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. Smackdown tonight was absolutely fucking terrible. God-awful show it was tonight. Smackdown is just becoming just as bad as Monday Night Raw, with Roman Reigns on the show. It's becoming just as bad as Raw, considering the fact SmackDown's only 2 hours. Still, it's just as bad as Raw, and SmackDown tonight, the pacing of this show felt like I was watching it for 3 hours, just like Monday Night Raw. That's what it felt like. It felt like this show went on for 3 hours instead of 2. The whole show tonight was built around the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal, where the winner of the match will get to face Roman Reigns, will get to job to Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. So that's pretty much what the show was built around tonight. Other than that, we had Rich Holland make his Smackdown in-ring debut against Cesaro. We had Sasha Banks and Naomi. They teamed up to take on Natalya and Shayna Baszler. And we had Drew McIntyre and Jeff Hardy versus the Joker and the Riddler, Corbin and Madcap Moss. Now I'm like, what are these guys fighting over? Why are they fighting for? Completely pointless. All in all, SmackDown tonight, absolutely god-awful show. Fucking terrible. Like I said, this show is just as bad, is becoming just as bad as Monday Night Raw. But anyways, hope you all had a good Thanksgiving yesterday. I had a very good Thanksgiving. I hope you all made the best out of it. So I just wanted to get that out before I started the review. So I hope you guys' Thanksgiving went well yesterday. But let's jump right in to the SmackDown review. So SmackDown opened up tonight with Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was in the ring. She welcomed the crowd to SmackDown. Braxton ended up going on about Brock Lesnar's suspension. But she then got interrupted by the Tribal Chief, the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman ended up coming out. They made their way to the ring, and we had Michael Cole on commentary. He mentioned how Kayla Braxton was about to mention the rumors of Brock Lesnar's suspension possibly being lifted, meaning that Brock Lesnar won't be suspended no more. So we had Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman in the ring. Paul Heyman snatched the mic away from Kayla Braxton, and Paul Heyman ended up bringing up rumors on Brock Lesnar, asking if that was the best that Kayla Braxton has on the news of Brock Lesnar's suspension being lifted. Or as Paul Heyman said, "Oh, rumors." So Paul Heyman ended up saying, "We don't do rumors on the island of relevancy." And that's Kayla Braxton's problem. Paul Heyman ended up saying that she parades around here like she's a journalist with news on Brock Lesnar's suspension, knowing what it means to Roman Reigns. And Paul Heyman was like, "Oh, don't boo at Kayla Braxton," because of course the crowd was booing at Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman then tells Kayla Braxton that he defended her as his co-worker. A co-worker he's ashamed of because of these rumors. Paul Heyman ended up telling Kayla Braxton to get some sources and next time come with some facts when in the presence of the tribal chief. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that he once liked Kayla Braxton because others thought that she was pretty. But she is with rumors. She's here with rumors and living her life through a Instagram filter, which is no way for a legit journalist to live until she's a legit journalist. So Paul Heyman was like, oh, I think now this is your cue to leave the ring. So Paul Heyman ended up thanking Kayla Braxton for her time. He ended up saying, good night. So we had the fans end up chanting, we want Brock. So Roman got on the mic. Roman ended up asking Paul Heyman if he wants to know the problem with rumors. He ended up saying that they give losers false hope. And everyone else around here is a loser because he's beaten them all. Reigns ended up going on to say that Brock Lesnar is the #1 loser around here. He ended up saying that he beat Brock Lesnar and the conditions weren't even ideal. Reigns then went on to say that he flew around the world and smashed his ass. So Reigns was like, oh, Lesnar is a loser. He doesn't care about the rumors of Brock Lesnar's suspension being lifted. And that's a fact. Reigns ended up saying that Big E is also a loser because he got smashed at Survivor Series. He ended up saying that these fools are just a part of a long list he's beaten. Reigns then wanted to say that it's getting embarrassing because he's running laps around the roster and that management is getting really worried. So Reigns and Paul Heyman end up bringing up the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal, which will determine Reigns' next challenger. That challenger to job to Roman. So Reigns ended up saying that it doesn't matter what kind of match they have. They can let 3 or 4 win tonight, and that it won't matter because he will smash them all. He wants to say that he can do that because he's the best of the best. He is the Universal Champion, the head of the table, and our tribal chief. And then Reigns went on to say that he is the greatest of all time. And when his days are done around here, then the whole world will acknowledge him. So that was basically how the segment ended. But this was a decent segment here. Roman, always, enjoyable on WWE television here. And whoever won the Battle Royal, which I'll get to later when I talk about it, whoever won will get to face Roman and job to him because you already know that Roman is still going to retain the Universal Championship. Roman is going to be holding the Universal Championship for a long while. So, Roman pretty much went through everyone. Who was there for Roman to beat? Who else is there? Roman pretty much went through almost everyone. So overall, it was a decent segment. So then we had Jeff Hardy and Drew McIntyre versus... Play the clip. Yeah. Moss and Corbin. The Joker and the Riddler. So we had Jeff Hardy end up coming out. He got a pop. This was in Jeff Hardy's home state. So then Drew McIntyre then came out with, of course, his sword, Angela. And then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, out came the Joker and the Riddler, Corbin and Moss. And I can't believe these two, Corbin and Moss, got fucking pyro. Do they really deserve pyro? Do they? So then the match ended up starting. Corbin ended up attacking Jeff Hardy from behind. Corbin was being down on Jeff Hardy. He ended up sending Jeff Hardy into the corner. Hardy ended up dropping Corbin, and he delivered a basement dropkick. Corbin ended up tagging in Moss. Moss came in, took over the match. Moss leveled Jeff Hardy with a running shoulder. Moss ran the ropes. Jeff Hardy then ended up nailing a hip toss. Went for the cover. Moss kicked out at 2. McIntyre came in, and McIntyre and Hardy ended up double teaming on Moss. And McIntyre ended up going for the cover. Moss kicked out at 2. McIntyre delivered a big chop to Moss in the corner. McIntyre then ended up nailing a clothesline as Moss ended up fighting out of the corner. McIntyre ended up warning Corbin that he's next. So McIntyre ended up holding Moss while Hardy ended up flying off the top rope with a right hand. So we had, after SmackDown came back from the commercial, Corbin was in control of the match. Corbin ended up dropping McIntyre off the apron with a cheap shot. So we had Moss end up delivering a cheap shot to Jeff Hardy, while Corbin ended up having the referee distracted. Moss came back in. Jeff Hardy was fighting off Moss. Both Moss and Jeff Hardy delivered double lariats. They both ended up going down. McIntyre and Corbin ended up tagging in. McIntyre started loading with some clotheslines to Corbin. He delivered an elbow. And then McIntyre then delivered a belly-to-belly suplex. And then delivered a neckbreaker to Corbin. Corbin ended up dodging a Glasgow Kiss headbutt from McIntyre. But McIntyre then dropped him with a neckbreaker. And then a kip up. So McIntyre was ready to hit the Claymore on Corbin. Moss was on the apron. So McIntyre ended up knocking Moss off. McIntyre turned back around. Corbin laid the deep 6 on McIntyre. Went for the cover. McIntyre kicked out 2. Moss came back in. And Corbin and Moss ended up double teaming on McIntyre. With Jeff Hardy ended up coming in to make the save. At the end of the match, we had McIntyre deliver a Glasgow Kiss headbutt to Moss. And he then delivered the Claymore to Moss. McIntyre ended up tagging in Jeff Hardy. Hardy ended up going up to the top. And Jeff Hardy ended up delivering the Swanton Bomb onto Moss. Went for the cover. And there you go. Jeff Hardy and Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match. Overall, match was fucking terrible. This match was god-awful. What are these guys fighting over for? Why are they fighting? And you care to explain that? I mean, what are these guys fighting over? Match was fucking awful. Absolutely terrible. And then we saw Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was backstage. She was talking with Aaliyah. Paul Heyman ended up walking up to her. Aaliyah ended up telling Kayla Braxton that it was good chatting with her and that she's sure her and Paul Heyman have a lot to talk about. So Paul Heyman ended up asking if Kayla Braxton has confirmation on those Brock Lesnar rumors and that he dismissed the idea of the rumors and that Brock Lesnar got himself suspended for touching Adam Pearce and that Brock Lesnar is hiding behind the suspension because Lesnar is afraid of the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman ended up mentioning how he doesn't have Brock Lesnar's new number, but neither does Kayla. Neither does Kayla Braxton. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he's pushing for Kayla Braxton to be gone unless she has confirmation of the rumors before the end of the night. Or Paul Heyman was like, or maybe that's just a rumor. So then Paul Heyman ended up walking off. And that was that. And then we had Cesaro versus Rich Holland. Rich Holland's Smackdown in-ring debut was tonight his first match on Smackdown. Rich Holland came out along with Sheamus. And then Smackdown went to commercial. And then when Smackdown came back from the commercial, we had Cesaro end up making his way out. Sheamus was on commentary with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. So the match ended up starting. Cesaro ended up taking Rich Holland into the corner. He ended up going to work on Rich Holland with some uppercuts. Cesaro then delivered a running uppercut into the opposite corner on Rich Holland. He mounted Rich Holland with some right hands in the corner. Rich Holland turned it around after Cesaro was distracted by Sheamus. Rich Holland then delivered a back body drop on Cesaro. Rich Holland ended up ramming Cesaro into the corner, started working on him. He delivered a clothesline to Cesaro. He went for the cover, which Cesaro ended up kicking out at 2. And then you got Sheamus on commentary. He ended up talking about how he's leading Rich Holland to greatness in WWE and that Rich Holland is following in his footsteps. So then Rich Holland ended up grounding Cesaro in the middle of the ring. And Rich Holland ended up grounding Cesaro as Sheamus was still praising Rich Holland on commentary. So we had Cesaro end up countering Rich Holland, and he rolled him up for the pin. And there you go. Cesaro ended up winning the match. So Sheamus, then, after the match, Sheamus rushed into the ring, and he ended up standing with Rich Holland, and that was that. Overall, awful match. And Rich Holland loses his first match on SmackDown. His in-ring debut on SmackDown, and already he loses. Are they going to be going the Karrion Kross route with Rich Holland? Where Karrion Kross debuted on Monday Night Raw, got drafted from NXT, made his debut on Monday Night Raw, and lost to Jeff Hardy. Are they going that route with Rich Holland also? And Sheamus wants to talk about how he's leading Rich Holland to greatness. Yeah, he's doing a fine, good job leading Rich Holland to greatness after his first match on SmackDown. Yeah, it's doing good for Rich Holland. So then we had Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre was with Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce. Drew McIntyre ended up telling Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce that he wants to be in the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal. But Sonya Deville ended up telling McIntyre that they don't have the final list of participants. And when they do have the list, they will let him know. So that was that. And then we had Rick Boogs versus Angel. Yes, Angel Garza. He was out there with Humberto Carrillo. And now, after last week, they are being called, Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, they are now being called Angel and Humberto. I don't know what is with WWE changing some superstars' names. Just leave them alone. It's not going to do nothing when WWE changes certain superstars' names. It's not going to do anything for them. I don't understand why they need to change their name, some superstars' names. Just leave them alone. Leave their names alone. So then we have Rick Boogs end up coming out with his guitar in hand. He introduces Nakamura. They end up coming out to the ring. And this match is a Thanksgiving leftovers throwdown match. So SmackDown came back from the commercial. Angel ended up coming out along with Humberto. The match started. Angel Garza nailed a drop kick to Rick Boogs. Angel ended up mounting Boogs, starting to load on him, beating him down on the floor. There was a table that was set up on the outside that had, food on it, Thanksgiving, leftovers. Boogs ended up stopping Angel from putting him face first in the table. Angel then delivered a kick from the apron. And Angel ended up keeping Boogs grounded, and fans were starting to chant, "We want tables." So there was a point where Humberto was playing Rick Boogs' guitar. Nakamura ended up coming over. He ended up putting Humberto through the table with all the food on it. So Humberto went through the table. Boogs turned around, and Angel ended up delivering a shot to him. Angel then followed up with the wing clipper. And there you go. Angel ended up winning the match. Overall, awful. Awful fucking match. And then we had Charlotte Flair. Charlotte ended up coming out, of course, is in her home state. And they build this segment as Flair for the dramatic. So we're supposed to care about how Charlotte feels after losing her match against Becky Lynch at Survivor Series. Who cares? Who gives a shit? I know I don't. Like, we're supposed to feel for Charlotte losing at Survivor Series to Becky Lynch. So then Smackdown came back from the commercial. Kayla Braxton ended up stopping Adam Pearce in the back. Kayla Braxton ended up asking about the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal. So Kayla Braxton then also asked Adam Pearce about the possible reinstatement of Brock Lesnar. So Adam Pearce ended up telling Kayla Braxton that he hasn't heard anything about Brock Lesnar's indefinite suspension. And he ended up saying that stranger things have happened around here. Pearce ended up bringing up the property damage, the medical bills, and the therapy sessions that Brock Lesnar has caused. He ended up saying that he would be personally shocked if the suspension was lifted anytime soon. So that was that. And then we went to Charlotte in the ring for the Flair for the dramatic segment. Charlotte ended up saying no. The only thing she's disappointed with was the poor officiating in that match against Becky Lynch, because Michael Cole ended up saying that Charlotte must be devastated over the loss to Becky Lynch, in which Charlotte said no. Charlotte ended up saying that we all saw it, and the only way Becky could beat her was blatant cheating. She ended up saying that Becky is just as underhanded as she thought, and that Becky just got a hollow win, and that her winning the match proved nothing. She ended up saying that Becky knows deep down that Charlotte is a better woman, and that Becky's success is all thanks to Charlotte. So Michael Cole ended up asking, what is in the near future for Charlotte? So Charlotte ended up saying that Becky can pretend to be big-time Bex on Raw in Fantasyland. Charlotte then ended up saying that she's still the most dominant woman in sports entertainment. More like overrated in sports entertainment. So then out came Toni Storm. Toni Storm ended up saying that she called it, and that Charlotte's obsession with Becky Lynch made her vulnerable, and that Becky won. Toni Storm ended up saying that now Charlotte is going to come after her because she was tough enough to stand up to her. Toni Storm ended up saying that she figured she'd make it easy for Charlotte, saying that she's right here. So Charlotte ended up mocking Toni Storm, ended up saying to Toni Storm that she barely knows her, she barely knows that she exists. Charlotte ended up saying that she wipes her boots when entering the ring, because there are levels to this, and that she's on a different level. She then asked how Toni Storm wants to be embarrassed tonight by being her to a pulp or like this. So Charlotte then ended up charging at Toni Storm. Toni Storm ended up ducking, and she ended up sending Charlotte out to the floor. Charlotte ended up grabbing a pie from the table that was, set up there in the previous match, which was the Thanksgiving leftovers Throwdown match. So Charlotte then took the pie and she smashed it in Toni Storm's face. Toni Storm had all whipped cream all over her face. So Charlotte was taunting Toni Storm. So Charlotte then ended up hitting Toni Storm with another pie. And she was mocking Toni Storm. And then pretty much that was how the segment ended. But overall, terrible fucking segment. Awful. This was some Three Stooges shit here, with Charlotte just taking the pie and throwing it in Toni Storm's face. I say it was some Three Stooges level shit. Hell, Three Stooges throwing pies in their shorts, in their classic shorts, is much better. You gotta love the Three Stooges. Absolute classic with them. And then we saw Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks ended up confronting Sonya Deville backstage, which was done earlier in the day. Sasha ended up saying that she was team captain at Survivor Series, and that Sonya Deville put her on a team with a bunch of flakes and traitors. She ended up blaming Sonya Deville for the loss for Team Smackdown, saying that she should have been allowed to pick her own team. So Sonya Deville ended up telling Sasha to watch her tone in talking to her. She ended up saying that Sasha can't just rewrite history, and that Sasha lost, and the loss is on her because she was the captain. Sonya Deville ended up saying that she has no issue with Naomi. So Sasha ended up saying that Sonya Deville is lying. And she was wondering if Sonya Deville is just jealous of Naomi, such as popularity. And that Sonya Deville went from being, in the ring to being downgraded into a suit. So Sonya Deville ended up saying maybe the suit makes her a boss. So Sonya Deville then ends up booking Sasha and Naomi in a match versus Natalia and Shayna Baszler. So that was that. Now we had a new vignette for Xia Li. It was a new comic style vignette for Xia Li. Xia Li ended up saying in this vignette that she still remembers the deep breath of a bully that was picking on her older brother at school. Her pacifist, kind brother who was too good for the bully. She ended up saying that she hates vultures and that their confidence grows like mold on dirty dishes. So she ended up saying that if you let it, it will suffocate your spirit. So then we saw this comic. It ends up showing Xia Li taking care of that bully. So we see Xia Li standing backstage in her new attire. She ends up saying that she is Xia Li, the protector, defender of those who are wronged. She defends people and she finds them. So then it said Xia Li coming soon to SmackDown. Xia Li, she's going to be on TV. They're going to give her a run. And then watch. Vince Bruce Pritchard will be tired of her. And she will be off TV. She'll be in catering. Watch. That's what I see them doing with Xia Li. And then we had Naomi and Sasha Banks versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler. So the match ended up starting. Shayna Baszler ended up slapping Sasha, and Sasha ended up slapping Shayna Baszler back. Sonya Deville was out there on commentary. So Sasha and Baszler ended up going at it. Baszler ended up blocking a takedown from Sasha. She ended up going for an ankle lock. Baszler ended up countering. She ended up getting the careful clutch locked in on Sasha, but Sasha ended up backing Baszler into the corner. Naomi then ended up coming in, ended up rolling Shayna Baszler up for a 2 count. So Shayna Baszler ended up grounding Naomi by her arm. Baszler was continuing to work on Naomi's arm, backing her into the corner. So Natalya then came in. She ended up taking Naomi down in the middle of the ring. So we had Naomi end up decking Shayna Baszler on the apron after Natalya ended up out on the floor. So Shayna Baszler ended up coming back into the match. She ended up leveling Naomi with the knee to her face to keep her down. She ended up going for the careful clutch. Sasha ended up running over. She ended up dropping Natalya at ringside. She then ran in, ended up taking Shayna Baszler out to save Naomi. And at the end of the match, we had Naomi end up rolling Natalya into a sunset flip. And there you go. Naomi and Sasha Banks ended up winning the match. Post-match, Naomi ended up taunting Sonya Deville. And she then faced off with Sonya. Sonya was just applauding at Naomi. Sonya ended up telling Naomi, "Oh, that was a good job. Good job, winning the match." So Naomi was just staring Sonya Deville down. And that was that. Overall, it was an okay match. Okay women's tag team match. So then we went backstage and we saw the superstars' names for the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal. And Sheamus ended up telling McIntyre he will see him out there. So Sheamus ended up saying, "There's no good way of saying this," but McIntyre didn't make it on the list. So Sheamus then laughed at McIntyre, and that was that. And then we had, of course, the main event, which was the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal. The winner of the match will get to face and job to Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. So we had Sami Zayn, the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, Angel, Humberto, Mace, Mansoor, Cesaro, Ricochet, Drew Gulak, Rick Boogs, Jinder Mahal, Shanky, Madcap Moss, Corbin, Jeff Hardy, Rich Holland, and Sheamus. Okay, so we had Angel Garza competed tonight. We had Cesaro competed tonight. Rick Boogs competed. Madcap Moss and Corbin, they competed tonight in a match. Jeff Hardy competed in a match. Rich Holland competed in a match. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 superstars competed in matches tonight. And they're just thrown into this battle royal. No originality for this. You couldn't have any other superstar in this battle royal besides those 8 superstars that I just named that were in matches tonight. Man. So we had Sami Zayn end up making his way out first. And then the Viking Raiders came out But we had Drew McIntyre. He ended up coming out. McIntyre ended up rushing into the ring with Angela, the sword. The other superstars ended up retreating out of the ring as he was swinging the sword. McIntyre ended up asking who's going to come in and do something. So then Adam Pearce came down. He was asking McIntyre what he's doing out here with the sword. So McIntyre and Pearce were yelling at each other. And pretty much SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, the Battle Royal began. So in the end, it was down to Sheamus, Corbin, and Jeff Hardy. So we had Corbin end up getting eliminated by Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy ended up celebrating, and we all forgot that Sami Zayn was still in the match. Sami Zayn didn't get eliminated. You know, this is another one of those, they're laid out, they're, hiding until they could come into the Battle Royal, take over who is the last one in there, and just throw them out of the ring. And so there you go. So Sami Zayn eliminated Jeff Hardy. There you go. Sami Zayn ended up winning the Battle Royal. He is now the new number one contender to face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Or job to Roman Reigns. Because, of course, Roman's still going to retain the title. Sami Zayn's not winning it. So, when Sami Zayn loses and Roman retains, this Battle Royal was absolutely fucking pointless. So, post-match, the Bloodline was watching backstage. Kayla Braxton ended up coming into the ring to interview and congratulate Sami Zayn. But before Sami Zayn could speak, Kayla Braxton had some breaking news that somebody was saying in her ear. So Kayla Braxton ended up announcing that Brock Lesnar's suspension has been lifted and that he will be at SmackDown next week in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. So Sami Zayn was upset because of his interview getting interrupted. And then it cut backstage and we saw Roman Reigns. He was seething. He was pissed off at that announcement. Paul Heyman looked stunned as Roman was pissed off. And that was how SmackDown went off the air. So we have Sami Zayn. Like I said, Sami Zayn is facing Roman, number one contender for the Universal Championship. He's going to job to Roman. Roman's going to retain the title. And like I said, this whole Battle Royal that they did tonight will be absolutely fucking pointless. Absolutely pointless. But what a god-awful SmackDown this was. Terrible. SmackDown, just as bad as Monday Night Raw, with Roman Reigns on the show. Awful. Now moving on to AEW Rampage. Rampage was taped from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. Rampage was a good show tonight. We had Adam Cole and Bobby Fish. They teamed up to take on Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta, or Jobber Yuta, as I would call him. We had Riho versus Brit Baker. If Riho won the match, she will get a shot at Brit Baker for the AEW Women's World Championship. And in the main event, we saw Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia. So Rampage opened up with Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta, Jobber Yuta, versus Adam Cole and Bobby Fish. This was a good match here. We had Bobby Fish and Yuta start off the match. Yuta ended up picking up Bobby Fish's ankle, sending Bobby Fish down to the mat. Yuta ended up carrying Bobby Fish before Orange Cassidy ended up making the tag in. Yuta was looking to go for a pin, but Bobby Fish ended up kicking out at 2. Adam Cole then came in. Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole, they were trading their trademark gestures where Orange Cassidy was trying to put his hands in his pockets, but Adam Cole wouldn't let him. So Adam Cole was like, Adam Cole, baby, doing his trademark gesture. And Orange Cassidy ended up shoving Adam Cole to the mat. There was points where Orange Cassidy was trying to get his hands in his pockets, but Adam Cole wouldn't let him. So they were just going behind and behind and behind. So we had Orange Cassidy end up leapfrogging out of the way to tag in Yuta. Adam Cole ended up tossing Yuta into the corner, and he tagged in Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish was delivering some offense on Yuta. Adam Cole then ended up coming back to the match because Fish ended up tagging in Adam Cole. Adam Cole ended up dragging Yuta to the center, ended up delivering a fireman's carry, neck breaker on Yuta. So Yuta ended up taking a big boot from Bobby Fish. Adam Cole then came back in, and Yuta ended up delivering a missile dropkick to both Fish and Cole. So Yuta ended up tagging in Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy ended up doing his destructive kicks on Adam Cole and Bobby Fish, where the crowd was just going, oh, oh, oh. You gotta love when Orange Cassidy does those little destructive kicks to his opponents, or to his opponent. So Orange Cassidy and Yuta end up taking care of both Adam Cole and Bobby Fish on the outside. Yuta delivered a splash on Adam Cole. Orange Cassidy delivered a Stun Dog Millionaire. And Yuta ended up driving Adam Cole with a suplex. At the end of the match, Bobby Fish ended up crashing Wheeler Yuta down with a Avalanche Falcon Arrow. He went for the cover. And there you go. Bobby Fish and Adam Cole ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a good match. And once again, Wheeler Yuta taking a loss. Man, can we get Trent back? Trent is at least better than Wheeler Yuta. Can Trent come back, please? But overall, this was a good match. And then we went backstage, and Tony Nese was there. Tony Nese ended up saying that he wants to make his Rampage debut by challenging for the TNT Championship. So he wants to challenge Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara was there. Sammy Guevara ended up accepting the challenge from Tony Nese. So Guevara then turned his back to walk off, and Tony Nese ended up beating him down backstage. So that was basically that. So we're getting that match next week on Rampage. It's going to be Sammy Guevara versus Tony Nese for the TNT Championship. So that should be a good match there. And then we had FTR. FTR ended up believing that there is no team on Earth that matches their style. So once again, they invite the Lucha Brothers. They invite Penta and Phoenix to step up to them again. And now it's going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. So FTR, not done with the Lucha Brothers. We're getting this 2 out of 3 falls match. That should be very good. And then we had the Black Friday deal match where it was Dr. Brit Baker, DMD, versus Riho. And of course, Baker came out along with Rebel and Jamie Hayter. And if Riho won the match, she would get to face Brit Baker again, but the AEW Women's World Championship will be on the line. So Riho would get a title shot. But this was a good match up here. We had the match start off with Brit Baker and Riho They were doing pin attempts, back-to-back pin attempts. Baker was looking to go for the lockjaw early. Riho ended up getting to the rope. And Baker then distracted the referee, which led to both Rebel and Jamie Hayter delivering a cheap shot on Riho. Riho then ended up heading to the top, and she ended up playing a crossbody, a beautiful looking crossbody on Hayter and Rebel. So Brit Baker then lured Riho into the corner. She was stomping on Riho. So Riho ended up escaping, Brit Baker. And Brit Baker ended up delivering a sling blade on Riho. And Brit Baker ended up delivering a suplex to Riho in the corner. So we have Brit Baker. She was looking to go for a air raid, but Riho ended up countering that with a dragon suplex. So Riho ended up going up to the top rope. She was going for the double stomp, and Brit Baker ended up rolling away. So Riho ended up landing on her feet to plant a Bridge Norton suplex to Brit Baker, and she went for the cover. Brit Baker ended up kicking out too. At the end of the match, Riho ended up getting a pin on Brit Baker. And there you go. Riho ended up winning the match. And so Riho gets a shot at the AEW Women's World Championship. She'll be facing Brit Baker with the title on the line. And hopefully that's going to be at the Battle of the Belts show, which I forgot to mention in my Dynamite review. AEW ended up announcing that there's going to be a special in January. It's going to be on January 8th. It's a Saturday. And it's going to be Battle of the Belts. It's going to be taking place in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I guess the belts are going to be on the line. All the belts are going to be on the line. And I'd say we might be getting that match at the show, at Battle of the Belts, where it'll be Britt Baker versus Riho, and the AEW Women's World Championship is going to be on the line. So I see that match taking place at that show. But, of course, Britt Baker, she's not going to be losing that title. She's not going to be losing it at Battle of the Belts. But overall, this was a good match between Britt Baker and Riho here. And then they went over the matches that we're going to see on Dynamite on Wednesday. We're going to have Andrade El Idolo versus Cody Rhodes in a Atlanta street fight. So that should be a very good matchup there. Andrade and Cody. Expecting Cody to be booed, of course, again. So that should be a good match there, an Atlanta street fight. Of course, we're going to have the quarterfinals match in the TBS Women's Championship Tournament, where it's going to be Chris Statlander, the alien Chris Statlander, versus Ruby Soho. Of course, my opinion, Ruby Soho is going to be winning that match, and Ruby Soho is going to be winning the tournament. That TBS Women's Championship is going around her. It's going around Ruby Soho. Then we're going to have Bryan Danielson versus 5 of the Dark Order, Allen 5 Angels, which you already know there. Bryan Danielson is going to be winning the match. We're going to have Colton and Billy Gunn of the Gun Club versus Sting and Darby Allin. So, already there, my prediction, Sting and Darby Allin's winning. So those are the matches that we're going to see this Wednesday on Dynamite. So next, they went over what the matches that we're going to see next week on Rampage. We're going to get Sammy Guevara versus Tony Nese, TNT Championship match. And we're going to have the Lucha Brothers versus FTR in the 2 out of 3 Falls match for the World Tag Team titles. So there you go. Those are the matches that we're going to see next week on Rampage. Main event, Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia. Of course, Daniel Garcia came out along with 2.0. This was a good matchup here. Eddie Kingston, he ended up starting off the match. He delivered a beatdown on Daniel Garcia. And Daniel Garcia ended up heading out of the ring to take a breather. Kingston continued to beat down on Daniel Garcia. Kingston ended up taking care of 2.0 on the outside. And Kingston came back to the ring. Kingston ended up diving off the ropes with a knee drop on Daniel Garcia. So we had Daniel Garcia working on Kingston's knee. Kingston ended up fighting Daniel Garcia off with a bite in the corner. So Kingston was biting Daniel Garcia. So we had Kingston end up dragging himself to the bottom rope, and he delivered a massive powerbomb on Daniel Garcia. So Kingston ended up locking in a half and half back throw on Daniel Garcia. And Daniel Garcia at that point, where Eddie Kingston ended up doing that, Daniel Garcia ended up landing right on his head, which was crazy. So at the end of the match, Kingston ended up connecting a Saito suplex and a spinning back fist to Daniel Garcia. And Eddie Kingston ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Kingston ended up winning the match. Post-match, 2.0 ended up coming in. 2.0 ended up attacking Eddie Kingston. And 2.0 and Daniel Garcia was just being down on Eddie Kingston. Jericho ended up getting up from the commentary table. Jericho ended up heading into the ring. And Jericho ended up sending 2.0 and Daniel Garcia out of the ring. So he ended up making the save for Eddie Kingston. And that was how Rampage went off the air. So there you go. But overall, this was a good match between Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia. And Rampage was a good show tonight. So Rampage, a whole lot better than Smackdown tonight. Smackdown was just a piece of shit. So, but anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's review of both Smackdown and Rampage. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, I'll see you all later.